Ah, sorry, Isaac. I was a little thirsty.
Yep.
Yep. Well, we're back again for podcast on the Prairies #2. It's
Episode number 2, baby.
let's go. um, well, how's your week been, Isaac, so far?
Pretty good. I got home from Saskatoon. I made a little trip out to Saskatchewan.
Oh, you came back to the homeland.
I did.
Yeah. You got to see the flatland again. It's pretty flat there in Dauphin, though, isn't it? Isn't it similar to here?
Yeah, there's a mountain not too far that you can see from Dauphin, but the close surrounding area is pretty flat.
Okay. Yeah, once you get into Alberta, it's too rocky for me. You can't.
Yeah.
I feel insecure. I can't see further than 100 miles. So, I mean, I just don't feel safe anymore because I don't know what's ahead.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go over grain prices right now, Isaac. I should get you to read these at some point. Just see how you do. So we got wheat here, $7 per bushel at the elevator. Oats, $3.25 per bushel. Canola, the average in Saskatchewan, by the way, is $10.40 per bushel. Soybean futures is at $8.62 per bushel. Corn is at $3.56 per bushel. Red lentils are at 17 cents per bushel. Green lentils, 20 cents per bushel. Yellow peas, $7 per bushel, and flax is at $13.25 per bushel. And as for farm news, Isaac, I kind of gotten a little crap this past weekend from my dad, because he's a farmer, right? And I grew up on the farm, and I don't know why I completely forgot about this. Agribition was going on last week, and I mentioned that farmers were sitting in the shop grumpy at that point. So I kind of got an earful about that.
So tell me about Agribition. What is it?
Well, Agribition is a Canadian Western Agribition that takes place in Regina and Saskatchewan. It's the best beef show in the continent, and it's the largest livestock show in Canada. And it just shows a bunch of livestock, like from horses, bison, sheep, goats, and an extensive agribusiness trade show. It's a fantastic event. I kind of wish I would have gone because it would have been a blast. 1,200 international guests from over 86 countries come to visit. So it's not quite a national event. I'd call it more of an international event, so to speak. But, farmers enjoyed that last week. That wrapped up on Saturday. And I kind of wish I went. But maybe we can see if we can take a trip down there next year for Agribition, as that takes place every year in Regina, right next to Mosaic Stadium at the exhibition grounds, actually. So it's pretty easy to get there. I'm sure it gets busy throughout the whole week, though. Enough farm news now, Isaac. I think you're from the city, so you don't have much understanding of this, hey?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we're about 3 minutes in now so far, so we're not going to be as long as last time, I think, because we dragged it out, and I was in the studio till I was here too long. I think I had supper at 8 or 9 o'clock, and I was starving. I didn't eat since breakfast, so it's I hate not eating because then I can't focus.
I was sneakily eating throughout last podcast.
Yeah, you were doing pretty sneaky. You were being pretty sneaky about it. I don't think I ever heard you chewing in the podcast once.
No,
it was.
I was having some boneless chicken wings last week, and I made sure not to be loud while I was eating. But I've already finished. You won't hear me eating or anything this week.
You're a ninja, man. You're a ninja. Well, our first NHL topic for this week was Patrik Laine, who basically took on the St. Louis Blues one-handed. It was basically Patrik Laine versus the St. Louis Blues.
And he had not much trouble single-handedly winning.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, he scored 5 goals in one game, and then I do believe it was 8-4 the final score. So he scored 5 out of the 8 goals, and if he had one more goal, he would have tied the record for most goals in one game by a player, and that would have been an accomplishment in itself. But I mean, 5 goals by one player. Usually, a hat trick is like gets a bow and a half, but this deserves a couple of bows, I think.
Oh, definitely. And what makes it even more impressive is the fact that in his other games in the week, he ended up scoring 11 goals in 4 games, because he already had scored a hat trick against Vancouver, and he scored 2 goals against the Flames and 1 goal against Minnesota before scoring 5 against St. Louis.
Who's had a few multi-scoring games, that's for sure. Like, I don't know where this guy gets it from. It seems like he's mad. How old is Laine anyway?
20 years old.
So yeah, he's still down there. He's still like pretty young, and I mean that's how hockey works. And you can still play till you're pretty old. I mean, you can. Well, who was it that came back last year? The Calgary Flames, was it?
Jaromir Jagr.
Yeah, Jagr. That's who it was, and everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, this guy's actually coming back! You've got to be kidding me!"
I can't remember how old he was. I think he was 45 or so, something around there.
It's like Calvillo coming back to the CFL. Like, holy smokes! But Jagr,
he's definitely the anomaly. Most players are out of the league by the time they're 35.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm not sure what else we can really say about this, Isaac. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring up? Any stats you found?
He set a Jets record scoring 16 goals in the month. That's the record for most goals scored by a Jets / Atlanta Thrashers, because the Jets used to play in Atlanta, so there's that record. And he's scored the most goals in a single month since Mario Lemieux did it back in 1996. He scored 17 goals in December. And since we still have a couple days left here in November, maybe Patrik Laine will still be able to surpass Mario Lemieux's record by most goals in a single month.
Well, the player that holds the most goals in one game is Maurice Rocket Richard. He has 6 goals in one game. Richard?
It's Richard.
Richard? Okay, that's my bad. And then he also had 2 5-goal games in his career, whereas Wayne Gretzky had 4 5-goal games in his career, and it was, I mean, he's joined an elite class there if you think about it. If he's scored 5 goals in one game.
Yeah, and that's the 57th 5-goal game in NHL history, and it's the first one since Johan Franzen back in 2011.
Well, it's been a while then. It's been 7 years? 7 years, yep.
7 years.
Yep. Well, I do believe we had a bet last week, Isaac, on the CFL.
Yes, we did.
Yes, and I brutally lost. I got my butt kicked.
You want to remind me who won?
Calgary Stampeders won by a score of 27-16, and Ottawa didn't show up. They played like garbage, except in the second quarter. That was where they had light shining on them, and then all of a sudden, after it was the last play of the second quarter, and Calgary returned that punt, and as soon as you seen that punt go back, you knew the game was over.
Yeah, that completely deflated the Red Blacks.
Oh,
they
yeah.
weren't going to be able to do much after that kind of a performance.
Exactly, and a lot of people were like, well, the field was slippery, and that's how come they were dropping the ball. It's Canada. What did you expect? Smarten up. It's in Canada. If you don't want to worry about falling over, go play in America. I'm sorry. It's just fact, but it's going to come with the territory. And how many years have we had Grey Cups outdoors and it's been slippery? And plus last year they had snow on the turf. People didn't complain about how slippery it was. There's nothing you could do about it. And I mean, in Edmonton, I don't know if they had snow earlier on, but it was just so cold that I think the field got icy, and the CFL now needs to make improvements. And I don't know. It's just comes with the territory, I think.
I don't think they should make any changes. I think if it happens to snow, which it very often does in November, I think they should just leave it because it makes the game more entertaining.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think last year, we had a fantastic Grey Cup. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I think that the last quarter was probably the most entertaining for sure. And I mean, you don't see those types of games very often where it's snowing that much and players can barely stand on their feet. And it is a lot of fun to watch, watching players fall over without even being tackled, and it also can change the game forever with a simple fumble or an interception because the quarterback can't get a handle on the ball.
And there were plenty of interceptions in this.
Oh, it was. And Ottawa easily lost the turnover game, 100%. I think there was 2 fumbles by Ottawa, one by Powell and one by Deontay Spencer on a punt return. And then there were 3 interceptions by Harris.
Yeah.
I think, and then there was 2.
And 2 from Bo Levi.
Yeah, Bo Levi. And even like 2 was a lot. But I think the game got off to a slow start because there was 2 picks thrown right away to either defense. And then, it was a decent first half. It was entertaining in the first half. Then we got to the second half, and there wasn't that many points scored. I don't think there was even a touchdown in the second half.
Yeah, no, it was all field goals and then 1 safety at the end.
I got a story to tell you about that, Isaac. It was hilarious. So, have you ever heard about scratch tickets for CFL games? Yeah, so you buy the ticket and you get your score, right? And whatever quarter that score comes in, whatever cash reward is beside that quarter, that's how much money you get. And so we got to the fourth quarter, and my family bought a bunch of scratch tickets, and of course I didn't get one because I don't live there anymore. But I was kind of just wondering why they didn't buy me one. Anyway, my mom had one, and she wasn't really paying attention, and one of her friends bought her one, and she had her ticket, and it was 27-14 was the score, and it was in the fourth quarter. She would have won $200, and in the last minute, we're just watching the game. We're like, okay, Calgary's gonna win it. Mom's gonna get her $200. We're all gonna be happy, right? And then all of a sudden, Calgary decides to run the clock out and run into the end zone. And when we're watching Maver run into the end zone, we're all laughing so hard because Mom just lost her $200 because of some stupid play that the Calgary Stampeders wanted to run the clock out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's just bad luck. I mean, I think that's just the Saskatchewan-Calgary rivalry right there.
That's just how lottery tickets work like that. So they'll give it to you, and then right at the end, it'll just change just to give you the middle finger.
Yeah, it's just that bad, and I mean, it was unfortunate. We were watching it, and I was rolling on the ground laughing, and all my brothers looked up, and we were all just screaming. It was hilarious, but unfortunately, Mom couldn't come home with the cash prize. But I can't remember what our score. I said 35-30 for Ottawa. What did you say for score predictions?
I think I had said 42-27.
Yeah, so you were pretty. You were on the ball there. It was just in a different. The score just wasn't as high as we thought it would be. You were right that Calgary would double Ottawa's score, and even more than that. But it was just like your diameter was just a little higher than the actual game, and mine was just completely off. Ottawa didn't even come close to putting up 20 points. They got up to 16. That was it. But
I think if there was some touchdowns in the second half, maybe my score would have got a little closer, but with it just being field goals and that 1 safety at the end, that just didn't help my score prediction.
Yeah, I know. My curiosity was that Ottawa, I think they had a good amount of time left to even, because I think it was only like a 2-possession game for the longest time, and they kept, Harris kept forcing the ball downfield, and it was so annoying. I'm watching this and I'm thinking, why are you chucking it 50 yards almost every play, and I think it was like the last 3 drives. He's got 6 minutes left, and every time it was either an interception or he just couldn't complete the pass, something like that. Oh, there was also a turnover on downs for Ottawa. I forgot about that one. And,
yeah, that just happened too.
And because there was 3 turnovers and 3 drives in a row, 6 minutes left, and he's slinging this thing like downfield, and it's why are you doing that? Like, just throw it out of bounds, stop the clock, keep it going, get a field goal if you need, and you're throwing this ball 50 yards downfield. I don't know what offensive coordinator has the right mindset for that, or if it was just Harris trying to take the deepest route that he could in desperation. But I mean, if you're gonna come back in a game, you can't just sling it downfield every time. You gotta organize a plan.
I think Harris was definitely feeling some pressure towards the end because he knew he had to get something going, and with them needing 2 touchdowns at the end, they just kept going deep, trying to get 1 touchdown so that they could get the ball back as quickly as they could, and it just wasn't working with Calgary's solid defense.
Yeah, no, Calgary's defense was way too solid by far. And I think that we have wrapped up this portion of our show, the sports portion, and Isaac came up with a pretty good weird topic. And Isaac, if you want to introduce our topic for the back half of the show.
So it's a pretty topical topic this time of year. It's how early is it to put up your Christmas tree, your Christmas lights, and how early is it to listen to Christmas music?
Well, for me personally, Isaac, December 1st is the cutoff line. Once you get to December 1st, I think that's when you're allowed to listen to Christmas music. You're allowed to set up your Christmas decorations. You're allowed to put up your Christmas tree, whatever it may be that you need to do to get into the Christmas spirit. What do you think?
Well, I think it's the spirit of Christmas. Start as early as you want. It's supposed to be the happiest time of year. Why not extend the happiest time of year into November? November, set up your tree. Get the festivities going.
You can't do that, man. That's just people, like, it's just annoying, I find. Like, I can't listen to Christmas music anytime in November. I just find it weird, first of all. And then also, like, there's these advertisements as well. Advertisements are the worst because some of them come before Remembrance Day, and I find it kind of disrespectful. It really, you know what, not kind of. It is disrespectful. I'm sorry to say it, but when you're advertising Christmas stuff before Remembrance Day is even passed or even here, like, you can't do that. And I've seen advertisements on the same day as Remembrance Day, and I don't know what's going through these companies' heads, but if I'm doing a commercial of any kind, I'm thinking, okay, let's do it a couple of days after Remembrance Day or something like that. And I mean, that's when you can start preparing, like commercials can air, certain things can happen. You can go Christmas shopping and such where Black Friday comes up. But as for decorations and music and Christmas trees and Christmas cooking, whatever it may be, December 1st is my cutoff date.
Well, I think that most people are on my team because if you look at the charts, Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas, it reached into the top 100 like a couple weeks ago in November. So
that song's never gonna die. It's gonna die when the world dies. It's just gonna keep rolling. When do you think it's acceptable to stop listening to Christmas music, and when is it acceptable to take down your Christmas tree? That's one debate. Another debate for this.
Well, you see, I think if you have a live Christmas tree, you probably don't want to leave it up too late or it's going to start to die. But if you have one of those fake Christmas trees, why not leave it into January, later into January? And for Christmas music, keep listening until you're sick of it. But most of it's super catchy, so I love to listen to it.
You know, I like Christmas music. I'm not a Grinch here, by the way. I completely support Christmas, love Christmas. It's a great holiday. You get to spend time with family and, even friends. You get to go do whatever it is you want to do on your time off. And also, I'm working on Boxing Day, so that'll be a grand time for me because I'll be getting pay and a half. Whoop, whoop. But I mean, pardon?
I too work Boxing Day.
Oh, do you? We're gonna maybe we'll do a podcast for Boxing Day then.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll set that, and whoever's listening can hold us to it too. If we forget, comment, just like rip us apart. Well, yeah, no, I'm not sure what else. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the Christmas topic, Isaac?
I think we got it all covered. Listen as early you want, and listen until you want to stop. Well,
I say December 1st, and that is coming up fairly shortly here. It is on a Saturday. A Saturday. It's on the 30th is a Friday. So Saturday is the first day. So that's when I'm going to start ripping out the Christmas music for sure. And I don't really have a Christmas tree at home. Do you have a Christmas tree, Isaac?
We have one of those really, really tiny Christmas trees. It's just on a little table in our living room.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I've never purchased one on my own yet. I always just did it with the family, and then... But it seems like the Christmas tree always takes up so much space in the house.
Yeah, that's really true. That's why we have the really, really small one.
We had a fake one for the longest time on the farm, and then all of a sudden, one day my mom went and bought a real Christmas tree stand, and it's one where like there's screws on either side, and you just screw the I don't know what they're called, the knobs into the trunk of the tree, and then there's water underneath in the bin underneath, and all you got to do is pour water into it to keep the tree alive. And I can't remember when we first did this. I think it was a few years ago. Started it up, and it's a lot of fun because then you can go to the tree. Go to the tree shops, like $25 for a tree, and you got to find the right size. You don't want anything too big or too small. But I find getting a real Christmas tree is a lot more fun. But until I can afford getting a real Christmas tree every year, I might have to purchase a fake one. Until then.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Isaac, I think we're ready to wrap this one up. It was a little shorter than the last one.
Way, way shorter than the last one.
Last one, I think a lot of people that I knew that were listening to it sort of quit listening to it halfway through. My dad said that he got halfway through and he didn't have time to listen to it. So
I haven't really talked to too many people about, too many of my friends about watching it, but I'm sure they were kind of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Isaac, we're going to see if we can maybe get a special guest on next week. We're going to see if we could do a I don't want to say three-way. That's just wrong. A three host sort of podcast here. We're going to see if we could do a conference call, and we'll see if we can get that rolling for next week. We actually had, Brady from North Battleford was interested. We went to WABC with him. And then we also, guess who texted me the other day, Isaac? Guess who got a hold of me?
Who was it?
Kyler.
Oh, really?
Kyler wanted to get on it.
Oh, that's so cool.
So
we should have Luke, Brady, and Kyler on and have a 5-person episode.
Well, I hope that I wonder if we could do that. I hope that the studio would work out because like the conference calls have been so annoying in the studio, and it's kind of like, I hope it, because remember when we first started last episode, like we couldn't even hear each other because it was so staticky. It was annoying. Like we had to move it to the next studio over. So maybe we can do that next week. We can get a few more voices on here, and also the guy that helped me get a hold of some of the grain prices over the next couple of weeks here. We want to see if we can get Massey Ferguson, or Michael Ferguson as he goes by, but we call him Massey because his last name's Ferguson, so we thought we'd call him by a tractor. Well, Isaac, I think we're ready to wrap this up, hey?
Yeah. So click the subscribe button below and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Links will be in the bio.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for coming in, Isaac. It was a lot of fun. This one was a little bit nicer because it wasn't dragged out so long.
Quick podcast.
Oh yeah, quick, nice and fast. Didn't have to worry about a thing. Okay, thanks for tuning in to Podcast on the Prairies. We'll be back next week, hopefully.